No, we are live now, so just keep it as is. Hi everyone, thanks for coming. I'm just posting the links everywhere so people can join us. 1 second. And checking that we are live as always. Let me see here. Good. The chat, let's tweet out and let's check. We are live. Awesome. Let us check Twitch. Looked like it was fine. Great. It's live. Super. So thank you everyone for coming. With me today, I have Balázs Bereczky, who will be giving a talk. Hi, Balázs. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great. Absolutely open for the talk.
Good. Yeah, for those of you who are joining, most of you will know about the meetup from meetup.com. Maybe you've been to a meetup in person when which is what we are regularly doing, except now, of course, for COVID-19. For those of you who have stumbled across this, because this is also being shared on my YouTube account and my Twitch. If you have seen me via any other channel, then this is a meetup, which is a virtual get together on a topic of Vue.js, which is a programming language or a programming framework for the JavaScript language to make websites, very simply said. And for those of you who are actually into Vue.js and know about it, I'm sure you will get a lot out of this meetup. We'll go through the normal intro and then I'll talk a bit about next meetup and what's coming up after the summer. But first, as most of the time, we are sponsored by Epcont, who is providing or paying for license for the tool that we're using to stream to you all in this lovely way. And they're also sponsoring or covering my time spent on the meetups, which I'm really grateful for. Epcont is an IT services company located in Austria. Also have office in Germany, South Africa, etc. And we're looking for front-end developers. More and more Vue is being used, but we are mainly React and Angular centric. On the back end, mainly Java and .NET. So if you are interested, there's also roles like project manager, business analyst, and data science, and those kind of things. So feel free to have a look or to share if you know of someone that is looking for a job. And despite the troubling times right now, we are still hiring. So come and have a look. That's it for about the sponsor. I do also organize 2 other meetups that are also covered by Epcont. One is Free Code Camp Vienna, which is also on the topic of JavaScript, both front-end and back-end. It's a bit more beginner-friendly meetup. Doesn't mean that we don't have beginner-friendly talks here at Vue.js Vienna, but definitely something to check out. Also, if you are a more experienced developer, we're also always looking for people to give talks or to help mentor or provide a good environment for people learning to code. And then there's Vienna Go, which is a totally different topic. It's the Golang programming language mainly used for backend, web APIs and stuff. So if you're interested, feel free to have a look. And meetup.com is the place to go. Yeah, as I said today, we have Balázs with us to give a talk on Vue.js with web workers. I'll leave it to him to go into more detail soon. And then, as always, we leave the questions mainly for after the talk, but feel free to put them in the chat so we can pick them up and highlight them at the end of the talk so we can get them answered. Let me just see that we have people here. Hi, everyone. Feel free to keep the chat room active. We've seen that if people are more engaged, both with us, but also among each other, it's more fun for everyone, both you guys and for us hosting it. So it would be awesome to hear a shout out from you all in the chat. Also, let us know where you're from, where you're located. I'm guessing most of you are in Vienna, but I also know that we might have some international Vue.js community members watching here. So we have here Rowild01. I don't know what your name is. Hi from 1030, so I guess it's a district in Vienna. Looking forward to the talk. And Thomas, who's been to tons of my meetups over the last couple of years. It's nice to see you attending online. Awesome. Good. As those of you, for example, Thomas, who has been to the physical meetups, know, when we are in a physical location, the sponsor Epcont is always providing more than enough drinks and pizza and sometimes some knabbereien for all of you. Unfortunately, because of these times, we cannot provide that in physical person, but I'm hoping that you have something that you are enjoying at home, and feel free to grab some virtual snacks off the screen here. At least in spirit, we are sharing. You heard my doorbell in behind. It's the kids wanting to come in, I think. So, but my wife is taking care of it, so they're not standing out throughout the whole meetup. Okay, cool. Good. J.M. Lawrenson, I remember your Nick from, I guess, the last Vue.js meetup, but I don't know if it was from another meetup. Nice to see you again. Rowild is Robert Wildling, also a regular attendee. Cool. Third district. Nice. We need at least a picture of a pizza. Remind me, I'll see if we can get a. Oh, this is a big picture. So an emoji, I hope that's good enough. If not, we'll try to get a physical picture next time. Good. Before we go to the. Oh, I cannot go back. Nice. Good. Before we go to the talk today, so I promised the news about what's next. The current plan is to not have anything new until September. That's not necessarily because of COVID-19. We normally have had a summer break the last years, and it has not necessarily just been 1 month. So for July and August, we have nothing planned. It does not mean that if someone shouts and says, hey, I want to really badly give a talk, that we can't do something spontaneously, because that's much easier now that we are doing this virtually. So it's nice to take something and make it spontaneous. But barring that, there will be no meetup until September. And as I say this, I realize I'm wrong because I'm mixing stuff up. So let me take a step back and say, there's no local Vue.js Vienna meetup in July, but let me check my dates. On the 16th of June, no, on the 18th of July, let me see if I can highlight this somehow. On the 18th of July, as you see here, this is Eastern Standard Time, so that will be 6 o'clock our time for those of you locally in Vienna. We plan to have another, we did call it Vue Global Meetup last time. There's been some, let's call it name conflicts. So now we have rebranded and we're calling us something awesome as World Vue. So this was most probably be the first World Vue Summit, because we will have several local meetups get together and with speakers. We won't necessarily be represented as a local meetup with a speaker, but I will be co-hosting that with Maria Lamado. So we will be attending in that sense. It will be announced most likely at our meetup.com, and you can all join, and you will get a lot of good content from a lot of good speakers from around the world, but it will not be a regular local Vue.js only meetup. So I hope many of you can attend there. Yeah, good. So some last comments. Hey, from Ari, I think I remember you. First time at the DC Tower, I think we met each other. And yeah, J.M. Lawrenson, that's why I thought maybe it wasn't the Vue.js. So you've been to the Free Code Camp meetup. Nice. Good. So the program for today is that we have tentatively planned without rehearsing or giving the talk before. I think Balázs is maybe the first time giving an English talk like this. But we're planning for around 30 minutes, plus minus, including the demo. I'm really looking forward to it. It's a topic that you don't really often see in terms of web workers with Vue.js. And after the talk, we'll leave the room open for questions. And also, if you have something that you'd like to discuss with us, either a question to me or to Balázs or to everyone in the chat room, or something you would like us to talk about, let us know. I think we will be finished at around 1 hour in, so around 7:30 is when we're like sort of thinking that we will be finished, but we can be a bit fluid with that. So without further ado, I'd like to give the stage or the virtual room to Balázs. Looking forward to your talk.
Thank you very much, Rob. So let me share my screen. Great. And let's start with the presentation. So, hello and welcome everyone. Tonight I will present to you the usefulness of web workers. All the slides you see here are available at this link if you want to download them. The presentation will be about the advantages, the disadvantages, and the alternatives to web workers. I am Balázs Bereczky, and this is Vue.js Vienna. Let me tell you, why do I share this knowledge with you? First of all, I had a project using an old school XAJAS search. If you don't know what that is, let me introduce him to you guys. This is Mr. XAJAS search. XAJAS search is used on various occasions from SPAs to server-side rendered sites with client-side search. He has the benefit that you don't need to reload the page if you run a search. But the drawback he has that when we are running a request, every time we are searching for something new. This request adds a load to our server, and also when we are passing some data and waiting for the server, it can be slow. So, why would I choose XAJAS search? I would choose him when we are having huge amounts of data in the database, which can't be fetched in one request. So if we need to fetch it in multiple little requests, then we need the XAJAS search. So basically that was Mr. XAJAS search in a nutshell. What else can happen to me? A lot of things, of course, but related to searching in a dataset, it can happen that the dataset is not too big. So it can happen that I can fetch it by one request. Let me introduce you to Mrs. Frontend filtering. Mrs. Frontend filtering can occur the same as XAJAS search. She also has the benefit of having data changing without reloading the page. And she has a super duper advantage that she does not stress your server with search request loads. Though this has a little problem. She moves the stress from the server to Mr. User's internet browser. So if we filter bigger amounts of data, she will freeze the user interface of Mr. User until filtering is done. What can we do to satisfy Mr. User, who hates freezing user interfaces? Simple. We don't use a lot of data on synchronous front-end filtering, so our kind friend, Mr. User, will be satisfied with Mrs. Frontend filtering. But what if? What if we need to have a medium amount of data which can be fetched by one fetch from the server, but it would freeze the user interface for a second or more? There comes our finest lady, Miss Web Worker. If we want to filter a medium amount of data, we fetch it from the server, and when Mr. User searches, we ask Miss Web Worker to help him out. How can Miss Web Worker do what Mrs. Frontend filtering can't? Mrs. Frontend filtering works synchronously, so she would freeze the user interface of Mr. User. On the other hand, Miss Web Worker is using the Web Worker interface of our browser, which runs in a separate thread and will not freeze the user interface of Mr. User. So, Mr. User falls in love with Miss Frontend Field, Miss Web Worker, and they live happily. Well, until one day. This dark day is a cold day, and it is a really, really dark day. And Mr. User has an idea to use something deeply hidden in the start menu. This was the time when he first opened the good, the bad, and the ugly Internet Explorer 11. At that time, Miss Web Worker fell into deep sleep immediately because Internet Explorer doesn't just partly support web workers, and she can only awake again if a polyfill for web workers to Internet Explorer 11 is merged. So, Mr. User is very sad now because her love is in deep sleep and he decided to offer a reward. An instantaneous approval to any knight who could create a pull request which contains a full support polyfill to wake his love, Miss Web Worker, up and be with her again. That was all the story time. Now let's jump into technical side. What do I use for front-end filtering in Vue.js? I use the Vue Worker library, which is a wrapper for web workers in Vue.js. It can be installed and initialized easily, and let me show that to you. I just install it with a simple npm command. Then I add the import and the Vue use to the main.js, and done. It's that simple. So now I want to explain how to run a worker query in a Vue.js file. Here we can see we have a wrapper which takes two parameters, the method which will do the heavy job, and an array of parameters which can be passed to the heavy job. After the heavy job finished, we can run them and handle the response of the heavy job. That was all it. It's that easy. So now I prepared you guys a demo with 3 special stars to present you the absolute greatness of web workers. Here are the stars. Mrs. Frontend Filtering, Miss Web Worker, and the everyday superhero, Mr. User. Here you can check my demo on the phone, on your desktop, and if you want to check the Git repo, here you can check it. So let me jump into the demo I did. Here is Mr. User, and now let's go through his relationship with Mrs. Frontend Filtering. This heart symbolizes their love. If it beats, it is good. If it stops, well, my mom is a doctor and she said it is not good. Programmatically, the heart has a class toggled every 100 milliseconds. Let me move this guy away. Done by JavaScript to simulate continuously animated situation. And here we got in the bottom our evil friend, Mr. Conflict Robot, who makes conflicts in the relationship. Programmatically, he is a while loop, which keeps our processor during a calculation until given time in seconds. It is a simulation of a heavy front-end task. Yes, thank you, but not now. So if I press the generator, you can see the heart stopped and their relationship is in danger. But they solve the conflict, and after a while, life goes on. Then comes again another conflict, and they solve it, and life goes on. Programmatically, our main thread is kept busy, so it cannot process anything else except the while loop. So sadly, Mr. User doesn't like freezing user interfaces, so they broke up with Mrs. Frontend filtering. And after a while, Mr. User met his absolute love, Miss Webworker. She looks gorgeous, and the best thing in her, which took the heart of Mr. User, is that if a conflict came up, she didn't have any issue with it. She just solved it by her own. There was no freezing user interfaces. Let me show you how does Miss Webworker solves conflicts. Here I click on the conflict button. Time passing, heartbeats, and then conflict solved. Here you can see it again. Conflict, time, heart keeps beating, conflict solved. Programmatically, our processor heavy load now runs in a web worker, which works on a separate thread. Then the user interface just keeps going. So it runs in the background in another thread, and when it resolves, it just comes back and we can just handle the response. So let me jump back to the presentation. Yes. And basically, that was the presentation of web workers. If you want to contact me, write me on that email. And I am now also looking for a job. So if you need a hand at your team, feel free to write me as well. And now, question time.
Cool. Any questions? Do you have? For my question would be, do you have any code to share of what we saw live?
Sure thing. I can share the code. It's on the Git repo, and I can have it showing you running. But basically, it doesn't have anything special. Would you mind showing that to you, or?
It's up to you. If you want to take up the Git repo and share it on your screen, at least people can, for example, see maybe something as simple as you said you used Vue worker.
Yes.
How you are importing it, maybe like an example of how you're using it, maybe a line in the component or something. That would be nice to get a little bit of.
I will show you immediately.
Sure, thanks.
Okay, so do you see my code?
I will share it. Cool. We see it.
Yeah.
Let me remove. I can't remove you and me because then we don't hear us. Let me see. Can you zoom in a little bit?
Yes.
Cool.
Is it good now, or should I zoom more?
Tiny bit more, and then I think it's perfect for everyone. Awesome. Great.
Cool. So basically, as I said, this is our main JS. I added this import statement to the main JS. Then I add the Vue use to our main JS. I also need to install it to the package JSON, so I run the npm install, and here you can see in the dependencies the Vue worker. So basically, that is how you initialize it. And I created the front-end filtering relationship, which is not that interesting. This is our generate conflict function. I will show that to you as well. Let me just zoom in a little. So you can see it 3 seconds, and it runs a while loop. So it just make our processor busy until time has passed. So this is our little conflict generator. And here, this is how it works. So if I click on the initiate conflict, it just sets it to loading, then generate the conflict. And after conflict generation has been done, here it is the synchronous version. So this is not the web worker. This is just the front-end filtering. It just resolves the conflicts and increase it by 1. And then enables the loading. So it's pretty basic, just for you to show. Then here comes our web worker. We have the same here, but here we have this initiate conflict with this worker. So you can see this worker, then this is the run function. And here you need to pass first parameter a method which will run. And here is an important thing, that you can't use external methods inside. So example, if you have a method like this,
you cannot invoke it?
If you run a method like this and you run it inside, so not passing the function, but run it like inside, it will not run, because this worker runs in a separate JavaScript file, which will run on the thread. So you cannot use any import statement there. And here the arrays of parameters, which only accepts strings, arrays, things like that, you cannot pass functions there. It will not work. So it can't be even done that you just run a function here and take a function parameter, and you just create a function there, and then here you want to call the pass function. It will not work either. Yeah, so that is how this web worker runs. And then we got the resolver, and here we got the resolve conflicts and set the loading to false. We can also pass parameters. So if I create like a method here and I do a return and return like 1, this 1 will be here. So if I log this 1, then this will be sent. If I pass this one here, and I pass it like parameter, or like say it 1, and I pass it down here, this flow goes from here to here to here to here and here. So this will work, but only with these variables. So it wouldn't work with any kind of like function down passing, sadly. So basically that is the code I prepared for that, and that's what
cool. Nice. Okay, we have a question from Thomas here. What does the beating heart mean in the context of a search? If searching the data takes 3 seconds, there will be some delay in the user's browser, no matter which thread does the actual search, right?
Absolutely right. So if you type in something, like you type in a search text and the search starts spinning, so maybe you filter like 1,000 items, which is like doable in regular front-end situations. You don't need to fetch it all the time in backend. Your interface will freeze. But if you want to do it with the web worker, it just run it on another thread. It won't freeze your interface. It removes the load from the server, so it works as you need. And it's much faster and better solution than just pinging the server all the time, put server load, put wait time. It's just much faster in the scenario where you can't fetch all the data from the server in one request.
So the main benefit is really the single thread and the non-interruption.
Yes.
If you need to be non-blocking, then this is the best solution. You talked about when we spoke earlier, and if you haven't prepared anything, I don't want to put you on the spot, but did you have a use case at work or in your private where you were using this for some use case?
Use case at work, but I can't show that.
Okay, can you explain sort of like the type of use case and how it helps something if you abstract it?
Absolutely. So as my presentation show, I needed to replace an XHR search
Yeah.
with this web worker. Well, we didn't know we need to use web worker, but we needed to use something async because we had like 1,000 items and filter them. So it's not that much, but not that little. So basically, the user interface was freezing for like 1 second if we were doing it front end, but on a high-end machine. So keep in mind that this is not a regular phone because we are focusing on now on phones, and phones are much less stronger than a high-end MacBook Pro. So yeah, that's why I need to focus on that, because when you're just searching for that on a mobile and you need to wait 2 or 3 seconds and you have no idea what is going on, that could be really, really user experience destroyer.
Yeah.
So that is the use case.
Yeah. And I guess we also have the balance between prefetching too much on the mobile. Like I guess then another solution could be maybe to have some PWA where you have an initial longer load, but if you need it to be live synced, then it doesn't help if you cache stuff on the
the load is fetched from the server, so we got one batch but running after rendering, so we don't block the rendering. And after rendering, the async defer search will just run, got the results, save it, and then we can just hack it with our code. We got another question from Thomas Van Dover. So compared to front-end filtering, with the worker, you won't get the search results faster, but the user browser will not freeze. Definitely. So the front-end filtering will be probably more faster than the web worker. But that you are considering that you are freezing interface on a mobile device, definitely would choose a web worker because it's just not that good to freeze. That's it. How can I remove this question?
I can remove. Good. Any more questions or any? If not, we are also open for general questions. But we'll give you the chance to post more questions now. And then I think Balázs wants to say a couple of parting words. I'll definitely check out Vue Worker. I see it has some stars, and it seems to. The only thing I notice a familiar guy who's made it, I think, but it was maintained 3 years ago. Have you had any issues with it in terms of, were there any issues or bugs or stuff that you had to?
I did not have any issues.
Okay.
The thing why I used it because I needed to do the task pretty fast, and I want to show some like real situations. We do not have time to just jump in and do everything test driven and create our own library. So I wanted to share regular coders who need to get their job done a fast solution for this.
Yeah. And I guess there hasn't been much changes to the web worker specs in
not really.
years. So I guess
Explorer because it haven't been one there. Okay. So
cool.
As I see, I don't have any more questions. So after all, I would like to give my thank and grace to the Vue.js Vienna team, all the supporters, and especially you guys who came here and listened to my presentation. Thank you very much.
Good. Thank you, Balázs. Thank you. It was super nice to have you. It was a great talk. I know you maybe reached out when I said, "Hey, we need speakers," and we'll gladly help shape the talk. And I think we had a good collaboration. So I'm happy that you took the plunge and decided to try out giving a talk. So that's nice. Robert is mentioning a video, but we don't see the link, Robert. I don't know if I have to give some permissions to share links, but feel free to maybe just share the title and we can have a look at it. Thomas saying thank you in terms of the questions being answered. You are too late, Robert. I don't know. I don't think you were too late. We just need a link to know what you are referring to. Feel free to still share. We can still comment on it. We have definitely some more time. If you also want to stay, Balázs, feel free to help moderate and answer questions. But I don't need to keep you if you don't want to partake. Thanks for your time. Lawson is saying he posted the link already. I can't see it here, but let me check in the live YouTube link. Maybe there's something I'm not seeing in my tool here. That is possible. So I don't see the link, Robert. Let me put live messages. I don't see the link. Maybe you see it, but it's not coming through for us. Okay. Yeah. So in terms of the Vue world, yeah, a link probably got filtered out. In terms of the Vue world, I don't think there's any definite date yet for Vue 3. Last time I checked, Vue 3 release date, I think it was first due, or I cannot say first, I think it was first due to be Q1, if I'm not mistaken, because it's been a long time in the making. But the last thing I remember was something like Q2. And yes, there's no official date, and I think I would have heard if there were any news, but I think it's a big effort. I know it's a big effort, and it is able to check it out already in, I don't know what the staging is called, not beta, but, or maybe it is beta channel. So you can already try out Vue 3. I work with the composition API daily, so we could also open any questions on that if you have any. But by now, I'm sure a lot of you have played around with it. You can try the Vue composition API with a Vue 2 plugin. It's easy to get started, and it do have its benefits. It's a YouTube video, not safe for work. Yeah, on YouTube, that's a good question. Yeah. There is a, where are we now? June 15th. There was a Quasar. You might know Vuetify as a front-end library, component library. Quasar is a nice one as well. It's been around for a long time. It also tries to have a unified code base for, I can share my screen here. Tries to have a unified code base for with Vue, both for the mobile and the front end, and I think also maybe some desktop with Cordova wrappers. They had an online summit. I'm guessing there are recordings. And then there is some initiative. I didn't get any reply today because they were offering some free tickets. So maybe we can have that next time. But there are the people from passionate people that are organizing Vue.js Amsterdam. They all now have a series of online events, but just keep a lookout. They just reached out to me today and I didn't get a reply, so I don't have a link prepared. But you should be able to find. Okay, really just try one more thing. Vue.js Amsterdam. There's something there. Oh yes, Vue.js Global in August, so feel free to have a look out for the, oh, okay, that's awkward. I can select stuff, but it's, okay. So yeah, and also there's something for all of the main frameworks. This is a front-end love, which is a bit of everything, so feel free to give them a look. And again, there is the worldview. Maybe I can share something for the first time. The website is not really available yet, but the next event will be 18th of July, so you can join the worldview then. This is basically just a prototype site that we shoot together to get some content going. You can actually go on GitHub and contribute if you want. You can help us polish up the site and make it look better and give it some functionality and some features. It's made with Nuxt and some CSS from a dude like me who don't. It's not really my strength. So feel free to help out. But that's stuff that is happening and coming. As you might have seen, there's tons of meetups now going online. Also, conferences. If I'm not mistaken, JS Nation might actually be live now, or they are just finished. So that's something to check out. Oh, they moved it. Then I got it from someone else. But there's enough stuff out there for you if you would like to have a look. Cool. Any more questions? Any more topics for discussion? I know some of you have already seen enough about the composition API and stuff like this. So I understand if there's no questions on that. In terms of other things, I think that's what we're waiting for. Performance increase with Vue 3, of course, is always interesting to see what the migration path is. I guess it's what people are most worried about when it comes to make the decision, okay, Vue 3 is cool, but when can we use it? But definitely playing around with hobby projects, you can start from day one. There's also Vite, which is a new, it's not a Webpack replacement. I know we have a question. 1 second, I'll have a look here. That's a tool that Evan has been focusing on. It's a fork of, initially a fork of something to do with the Webpack and ES module imports, but it's basically a faster hot reload way of doing development. And I haven't tried it myself, but it's the new and hot thing. So feel free to give Vite a look. What about Vienna Vue.js website open source? Yeah, I think it might actually be open, but let me check. Because we do have a website, and I think it might be some issues with it because I don't have the domain. There's another organizer who did set it up for us, and we're depending on him, which is always, it can happen and unfortunate, but that's the situation. And I think we do have, I think it should be linked with the repo actually. It's just I'm not sure if the deployment is automated. So let us check right now. But that means that you should be able to go here and you should be able to run it locally. And it looks actually quite nice, but simple because you don't need so much content. So Ari, if you would like to have a look, feel free to fix our vulnerabilities. Feel free to work on it if you want. And if you want to fully redesign and make it more feature rich and awesome, we are always open for pull requests. Let me zoom in. Vue.js Vienna as well. We haven't been so actively sharing slides and stuff as in the past here, but there is some content and I could get better at maintaining it, but there is also possibility if you want to get some free brownie points or some, if you want your graph on GitHub to look even cooler, then definitely make a pull request there as well. Woohoo! Good stuff. Cool. Didn't mean to share that necessarily. Cool. Anything else that people are wanting to discuss? Otherwise, we can slowly fade out today. I know now, at least, because people don't think about Vue.js as a perfect fit with web workers, but since there is a highly starred repo, Vue workers, I will keep it in mind next time I have a blocking what do we call it? When the UI is blocked. When I need async to be my friend. Cool. Shout out to Radim, who made this nice animation for us. Vue.js Vienna. Yeah, okay. Then we'll give you 30 seconds right in the chat. Feel free to say something else. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up for today. I think we covered everything, maybe even twice. So if you're looking for a job, so Balázs, we should talk afterwards. We are always hiring for anyone else, or if you know of someone in these troubling times that are looking for a job in the IT sector, feel free to contact us or even contact me directly. I'm very easy to find on. You can DM or message me directly on meetup.com. You can find me on Twitter. You can, of course, just tweet or DM to Vue.js Vienna. But otherwise, I'm always active on Twitter. So feel free to contact me right there. And if you feel like it's more comfortable to contact me and send me your resume or to talk about possibilities at EPCONT directly with me before you apply, then feel free to do that. Yes, so I'm looking forward to Worldview on the 18th of July. We'll have more detailed website and details at meetup.com hopefully soon for all of you. And until then, hopefully everyone will have a good summer, even though it's a bit different this year for most of us, I think. I'm hoping you get to relax, recharge, and to enjoy the sun. And then we see each other, if not at the Worldview event, then hopefully in September. Yeah, one last thing to say. I personally don't think we'll be back with physical events anytime soon. I won't make any necessarily absolute statements, but in my mind, I don't think we will be having physical meetups until maybe even worst case January next year, because of so many unknowns right now. It is more allowed to do stuff in Vienna, in Austria, but since the burden of hosting a big event falls on the organizer, having to give you hand sanitizers and make sure you keep distances and facilitate everything, I also don't want to give people the opportunity to get together and to spread stuff unnecessarily. So we're enjoying the online times. We're having had a lot of nice online meetups. I hope you've enjoyed them. So things can change. We might be back with physical meetups sooner than I think, but we're tentatively planning for the autumn to also be online. We're always looking for speakers. So for anyone that would like to either give a talk, if it's a short lightning talk that you think will take 2-3 minutes, but might take 10 minutes, or if it's a longer talk, contact me again directly. I will be happy to help shape the talk or to welcome you if you're an experienced speaker. It doesn't have to be purely a Vue.js talk, but it's always nice if there's at least a link with Vue.js so people have that angle to come into the talk from. Okay, cool. Then I'll stop talking, and it was really nice having you all live. We had some engagement in the chat. We were at some point like 13 online people that I can see here, which has been sort of the average for the meetups. And we will have the recording automatically live, so anyone that wants to see it afterwards can see it. And thank you, Balázs. Thanks for giving the talk.
Thank you for the invitation. Thank
Yeah,
you.
you're welcome. Ciao, everyone. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.
Have a nice weekend. Ciao.